I'm Chris Williams from Cyclone Fanatic, and a proud Iowa State graduate from the class of 2007. No one shows up like Iowa State fans.
And Cyclones support Cyclones on and off the field.
Your gift can provide scholarships to students, fund groundbreaking research. We could even drum up opportunities for the marching band. Visit MoveWhatMatters.com to learn how you can make an impact today.
Welcome. We're in the Northwest Bank Studios for the Beat Reporters. Still somewhat in the heart of crossover season, a little bit less than we were last week, so slowly but surely, we're all kind of easing back into a sense of normalcy after the vintage November burnout. I'm Jake Brend here with Cyclone Fanatic, joined by Ben Hutchens of the Quad City Times and Rob Gray of the Cedar Rapids Gazette and Cyclone Fanatic. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Just fantastic. Just fantastic.
Well, we've got a lot to get to today, so we're not going to waste any time getting into it. We've got basketball, we've got wrestling, we've got football. We've got it all here in the Northwest Bank Studios, courtesy of Kelderman Manufacturing. If you've got an uncle in your life, a grandpa who loves working on trucks, just please take a visit to Kelderman.com. You can hit up the Shop for Kelderman Products tab, and you'll find, right now I'm just on the front page, I've got a steering stabilizer bracket. You can buy a 2023 Ford F-150 4x4 stock height front and rear air suspension. I don't really know the significance of that, but if you've got someone who's obsessed with trucks, obsessed with cars in your life, that'd be a pretty great investment as a Christmas present this Christmas season. You can also check out his YouTube channel where Kelderman, he found this Stomper he built a Stomper build, which was one of those toy cars, and he went out and just made it out of a Ford F-150. So that's the kind of guy you're getting with Kelderman when you're supporting his business, when you're buying products from him. You'll get to meet the one, the only, the Jeff Kelderman. Head on over to Kelderman.com, and you can check out all the cool products for this Christmas season. We appreciate his support of us here on the Beat Reporters. Got a good show in store for you today. Let's start with men's basketball. Full disclosure, we're recording this Wednesday morning. It'll come out Thursday morning. Pretty busy Wednesday for us on the beat with signing day and Iowa State's game against Elkhorn State, which we don't anticipate having any substantial storylines coming out of it. So we're just going to move straight to Purdue. Number 1 Purdue on Saturday. On Ken Palm, Iowa State looks to be about a 5-point underdog. Right about there. What have you guys, I guess, anticipating about this matchup at Mackey Arena?
Well, I went straight to Purdue when we went with TJ. Crossover season bit my brain into a little bit of a freeze, and TJ was very nice to correct me as I was asking him about Purdue that all our focus is on Elkhorn State, my friend. So that's one of those things. It happens to the best of us.
Oh, absolutely.
It happened to me 2 weeks ago when I tried to squeeze the question in before Las Vegas. Hey, you're playing, back-to-back games, Creighton, and he said no. We're focused on St. John's. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I basically what I look at Purdue. I mean, how complete of a team is it? I mean, you got Lawyer shooting 52% from three, leading scorer. I mean, Smith is what he is. The glass what they've got. It just with Kaufman, Wren, and Clough. I mean, both averaging 10 plus boards a game. I mean, deep bench. I mean, it should be a great game. Obviously, a huge test for Iowa State to go into that environment, which is truly on par with Hilton. I'm sure the Boilermakers fans would say better than Hilton, but always shows up on the top 10 list along with Hilton in terms of arena noise, fan passion, all that kind of stuff.
an obvious storyline for me that you look forward to is Oscar Clough versus Blake Buchanan, right? I mean, it goes back to last March when the transfer portal was raging and you thought maybe Oscar Clough might be in the Cardinal and gold. And, Blake Buchanan, I think, has admirably filled in and done such a job that makes you not really think about Oscar Clough all that much until they might very well see each other in the jump circle on Saturday. So I'm looking forward to that as kind of a barometer for, hey, what kind of success did the transfer portal have? Did this move impact things? I think nobody has any complaints about Blake Buchanan, but it'll be really interesting to see him go up against the guy who a lot of people thought might be in Cardinal and gold.
Yeah, that's a super fascinating matchup for everything that went on in the offseason. And I think it's really interesting looking back how, I guess, not concerned the staff was when they lost Clough. Not that they didn't want him. It's not oh, he went somewhere else. We never wanted him anyways. Like they wanted him. They wouldn't have recruited him if they didn't want him. But they didn't panic when they had a plan 1B. Like it was just, all right, Clough wants to go to Purdue. We like this Blake Buchanan guy, and his numbers certainly were not Clough's. Certainly not as flashy, but I think from what I've watched out of Buchanan so far this year and what I've watched out of Clough at Purdue, I see Buchanan as a little bit better fit when you consider what the 5-man is asked to do in Iowa State's defense compared to most centers around the country.
That's exactly what I was thinking, Jake. I mean, I think early on it was concerned in the exhibitions, Buchanan, even against FDU, it didn't look like much. And then we got him, I remember, at media, and he said, TJ keeps telling you, you're a double-double guy. You're a double-double guy. You're going to do that. And comes out the next game and gets 8 points and 9 rebounds. And he's been at worst 4 rebounds and 6 points since. And imagine Clough's going to demand, Clough can give you a good amount of offense. How much does that disrupt what Joshua Jefferson does?
Right.
How much does that disrupt the emergence of Taman Lipsey as an 18.4 per game scorer, when they get him back, leading scorer on the team? I think they've got enough offense, and Buchanan definitely gives you upside on the defensive end versus Clough.
The thing that struck me about Buchanan is how much of a closer he feels like. It feels like in the last 2 minutes when Iowa State needs a rebound, he gets another level and he really takes it up a notch. And also, you look at his performances against the St. John's and those bigs. Everybody in that roster was so big. And even in Vegas against Creighton and Syracuse, those were some of his better games. Even Mississippi State was one of his better games. So the way he's performed against these elite, compared to maybe the Stonehills and the Alcorn States of the world, you really think Buchanan has some of that mental edge that makes him so good and might give him something of a good game out there in West Lafayette.
Yeah, I think you can make the argument that Buchanan's going to be Iowa State's most important player on Saturday because of how well Purdue rebounds. Rob mentioned it. 10 rebounds a game out of Clough, 10 a game out of Kaufman-Wren. That's a tough matchup, and Iowa State's going to give up. They're going to give up some open threes. That's what they do. When those shots are missed, it's going to be vital to end that possession, as TJ likes to say. Close the possession down by grabbing rebounds. So you look at the matchup, and it's terrifying for a reason because Purdue's the number 1 team in the country. They do a lot well. You typically can't be number 1 if you don't do a lot well, and Iowa State's going to have to play an A-plus game to go win in Mackey Arena. I don't think there's any question about that. I guess what I like about it, aside from the matchup, it's just an opportunity to test yourself against one of the best teams in America, in one of the best atmospheres in America. And I think this Iowa State team has goals of making an Elite Eight, a Final Four. You got to win games like this to get that far. And if you've got goals of winning the Big 12, what's Houston done the last 2 years? Won at Fog Allen Fieldhouse. At some point, if you want to hit that goal of a regular season championship, you're going to have to win at a place like Fog Allen. And I guess there's no better primer for that than a trip to West Lafayette.
Yeah, and it's again, I know how much respect TJ and Matt Painter have for each other, so it's a nice that they could get this game in. I mean, when you look at how much we've had the parade of the no all due respect to the Grambling States and the Stonehills and the Farley Dickinsons, and Wednesday's opponent, Alcorn State. It should be just a lot of fun. I know, Jake, you and I both wish we were going. Got some things going on. You got a wedding. I've got some stuff. So, but certainly it has all the makings of a great. I mean, Ken Palm says 5-point game. Let's go. I mean, 2-possession game. I'd have mentioned there's some swings in this game. Iowa State's defense swings something. Purdue's shot making and elite offense swings something. And oh, by the way, they're a pretty good, darn good defensive team too. So a lot of intriguing storylines, and again, should be really fun to watch.
Do you guys think Taman Lipsy plays?
Yeah.
For that game, yeah. I think Taman really wants to play. Let's put it that way. And
yeah.
Judging off the way Otzelberger was talking on Tuesday at the press conference, it sounded like he was trending towards playing. But that's completely me reading between, like, the quote. I should have followed up because I didn't realize the wording of it in the moment. But when I went back and read it, it sounded like Lipsy had at least been practicing in some form based off the wording of he's going to come back in today to do some additional work. Which
additional evaluation, yeah.
Yeah, additional. So that means he was probably doing a little bit of something.
Doing some stuff on the floor, yeah.
Yeah, I bet he plays. Should he play? It's probably a different conversation. But knowing how Taman's wired, knowing how Otzelberger's wired, it's going to be really hard to keep number 3 off the floor when he's got a chance to go prove himself against probably the best point guard in America. And Taman certainly thinks that he's got a stake at that as well.
And should he play? That's the big question. Should he play? But it's a question that us three can't answer. There's only one guy who can answer that, Taman. And it sounds like Otzelberger is giving Taman full control of, hey, when do you want to come back? When do you feel like you need to come back? And I thought Otzelberger made a really interesting point. He said during Taman's freshman year, he might have said he was 100% when he wasn't. And this year, as a senior, as a veteran, as a guy who spent so much time in the training room, knows his own body, Taman Lipsy is going to come back when he thinks he's 100%. And I think that's a really important thing.
Taman's idea of 100% is a lot different than ours, I think, though. So I do like, TJ has said repeatedly that we want him to be so he can do everything he does. We want his whole bag of tricks out there, as healthy as he can be. So I'm sure, as you said, Ben, rightly, they're trusting Taman, because he can be, cleared. That's one thing. But are you feeling good to the point where you can do all the things that he's shown he can do, which is a remarkable body of work? That's the big thing, and it does sound like that's very much in Taman's hands. And Taman, even though the competitor he is, we've seen him be able to ease off as he did last season, where it's just like, I'm not going to help the team if I try to go out there. So, it'll be interesting. I don't think, as TJ says, they won't rush it, but I got to imagine Taman Lipsy really wants to rush it for all the reasons both you guys mentioned.
And the other thing I'll add before we move on is, it is not in Iowa State's interest to come out and say, hey, Taman Lipsy is playing or is not. If I was a coach, I would want to leave that up in the air and as cloudy and as murky as possible, even if they know full well what he's been doing in practice, and they know. So I don't blame him at all for keeping it at a day-to-day status with that big game against Purdue coming up.
Yeah, the final point I'll make also is Ben mentioned that maturity, and Lipsy knows that not his legacy will be defined, but his time at Iowa State can be looked back on more with a banner that's in Hilton that could read Elite Eight, that could read Final Four, that could read Big 12 regular season champion. They're not going to hang a banner for beating number 1 Purdue at Mackey Arena. As big of a game as that is, if he's 70% or whatever the number is, he shouldn't rush back, because yes, this could be worth an entire seed line come March and all, and for every single reason and for everything that makes the sport of college basketball incredible, this is a massive game, but it's also December 6th is the game. It's not worth everything. And I would think senior Tamin Lipsey also realizes that as well. And if he thinks he can truly play and that he's good to go, he'll be good to go. But I don't think we're going to see him playing what he was playing through last year in March when he had 4 different injuries at once, essentially.
No doubt.
Another fun topic to come out of yesterday was all the dunking. We talked to Otzelberger and Toure about, I don't know what we're going to call it. Is it a pick six? Oh, that's not the right button. Sorry, if you're watching on YouTube. Aiden Wyatt is busy today, so I'm handling producer duties, which is terrifying.
How about steal
for all of you?
How about steal and slam? Steal and slam.
Yeah, I like that.
I mean,
I don't know if you heard me after, Rob, but when Otzelberger was walking out, I pulled him aside and asked, like, do you have a name for this? Because I know they've got, like, he created the CEO, he created Kill, he created, what do they call the cutoffs? A collision. So, like, he creates all these terms, and he kind of laughed, and he's like, no, it's just a good play. So there's nothing there, because I've gone from, like, calling it a pick six, a pickpocket dunk, but that doesn't make a lot of sense. Either way, maybe we can just call it the Toure. And Toure, I think, has accounted 5 this year where he one-on-one pickpockets a defender, goes the other way for a pretty much 1-on-0 breakaway dunk. And Otzelberger said that he doesn't know how many points that play's worth, but it's more than 2. He said it's worth anywhere in between 6 to 8 points because of how hesitant it makes the other team's point guard, knowing that he can have the ball taken from him at any given moment. The momentum from a dunk getting the crowd going. These Toure plays are massive.
Well, and I asked Killyan what part he likes the best about it, the steal or the dunk. And of course, he said the steal because of, he said, it's hard not to foul. And then, boom, you're open and you go down and slam and it's fun. But it's really fun when we get to talk to him, I'll say as an aside, too, because his English is good. It's good. And his thought, but you can tell he's really trying to speak precisely. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you get stuff that sounds a little bit like he's, I don't want to say cocky or boastful, but I don't think that's the case at all. I mean, when we're in his presence, you can tell that's a humble young man from Pommier, France. But he said something about, I like to create spectacular play, or something like that. And that is what it is, I mean, that's not a brag. That's a truth right there.
Guys, I'm still hung up on what we're going to call this play. How about the Toure de France, the Toure de Steele.
Toure de Force, the Toure de Force, the Tour de Force thing. I still like Steal and Slam, although I'm not a fan of Steak and Shake.
Well, but, this doesn't make
it's not a sponsor anyway.
This doesn't make sense as a nickname for the play itself, but the player itself, I think the Torture Chamber is a good one, kind of going off of Ben's favorite NBA team. They call Lou Dort the Torture Chamber. So I think there's a little...
lose 5 games? No. I'm sorry for a small aside there. Are they even going to lose 5 games?
No.
The Thunder?
Not in the regular season. Hopefully the Nuggets can get them for 4. Can get them for 4 losses though in the playoffs. But yeah, Toure is what we've talked about it so much. What he adds to this team, the upside of Tamin Lipsey probably went from a top 3 guard defender in the country to start the year to maybe not even the best guard defender on his own team. And that has nothing to do with Tamin, and that's got everything to do with the athletic freak that Killyan Toure is, that seemingly has an endless motor, just like Tamin.
Absolutely.
Milan Momcilovic also dunked, which was a lot more unexpected. First career college dunk. I asked him, because we don't remember every single play. He said he's 1 for 1, because I asked, had he ever tried in a college game? And he said no, that was his first attempt. He had a few in high school, but was able to jokingly add dunking to his repertoire. But all jokes aside, Momcilovic is off to an incredible start this season, shooting 49% from three, doing it on very high volume, and he has seemingly taken that next step as a consistent scorer, and it's been from more than just shooting on the perimeter. He's added a lot of aggression to his game, even if his shot's not falling.
Absolutely. I mean, we've seen his he's rebounding the ball better. I mean, he's defending better. I mean, that, of course, a steal, a breakaway is what made that one-handed slam possible, right? Because we're not going to see, I don't think, Milan punt a whole lot, dunk a whole lot out of the half court or when he's backing people down. It's just fun to see the way that he smiled about that, though. But, I mean, you're right, though. The ridiculous numbers, the points per game are way up. The overall field goal percentage is way, way up. I mean, steals are up. I mean, turnovers are constant. He's rebounding it, I guess, at around the same clip he usually does. But seems like it's more. I mean, TJ made a big deal about how, hey, you're down on the scouting report too. And Milan's taken that to heart, and he's clearly upped his game accordingly.
The thing I love about Milan's game, and a lot of people view his up and downness, when you shoot so many threes, you're going to have up and down scoring nights as kind of a weakness. And I think he's leveled, and gotten some more consistency on the offensive end this season. But I view that as not necessarily a negative, because when Milan has a Milan game, you remember him, and he will win you a game. Kind of like it felt like he did for Syracuse and last year in Maui. When Milan has a Milan game, I don't think anybody can beat Iowa State.
That's a great point, Jake. I mean, sorry, Sam. Go ahead, Jake.
No, I completely agree. It's just a game breaker when you can have a player like that can go for 30 on any given night. And right now, it feels like he's giving you a more consistent 10. Because he's going to have nights where he can't buy a 3, and that's okay. He's going to go 2 of 10 a couple nights, but he's also finding ways to be a much better passer, to play that little two-man game with Joshua Jefferson, and be able to kind of put his shoulder into guys down low and be able to spin around. I think he's added, even if his game kind of looks the same to the naked eye, I do think he's added more of a quote-unquote bag down low than he's even had, and he's been able to do that by adding a little bit of physicality, by, scaring opponents like no other because of his shooting ability and also that passing ability as well.
Well, we saw that
in the LeBron James clip, and I'm not even a one-leg bump fade guy. That's what he did at the end of the St. John's game. His bag is deep. He's just trying stuff, and it's working.
Well, we saw it in the Creighton game. He did not have the great game shooting the ball, 33% from the field. I think, okay from 3, but he had a couple of assists, which were big in the moment, right? So, in games where he's not shooting it, he's finding ways to show up in other ways, and he's obviously keeping the volume up. Like TJ has told us repeatedly, he wants 3 of 10 to be a bad night, not 1 of 3 or 1 of 4, 3 of 10. And that's pretty much something that Milan has lived up to.
No, that's good stuff. He can definitely take Iowa State. He's the ceiling raiser. It's kind of fitting that we got him and Toure yesterday because they both feel in that same realm as the ceiling raisers, where Lipsy and Jefferson are kind of those. They're the steady guys.
Joyce.
Jefferson can have a quote unquote bad day and still end up with 14, 7, and 6. And that's just going to be Jefferson. And Lipsy's kind of the same way. When Milan can bring you 25, or heck, who knows if that's what Toure is going to do all year. There's nothing to me so far about Toure's performances that have seemed that fluky. His 3-point percentage will probably go down a little bit. But the attacking, the ability to beat guys off the dribble, I don't think that's going anywhere, and I think that's what maybe has changed my opinion on this Iowa State team more than anything.
Yeah, and we haven't even seen a Nate Heisey game. Nate Heisey's been really, really, really solid, as always. We've seen, how about the role Jamarian Bateman's playing, with always seeming to hit a 3 that ignites something coming off the bench and rock-solid defense. This team is really a great point about Toure, too, because he's averaging, about 12 a game. And it feels like that's going to be standard for him. Well, how much did Milan average last year? 12 a game. I mean, so it's really remarkable what he's done coming in. Known as a defensive guy, to see just how effortless it feels like it, or it seems like it is for him to get to the rim and score and kind of be in that Gabe Kalsher mode from three. It's like swish one, air ball one, but he's shooting high 30s there. So, I mean, can't ask for much more than that.
Well, so far this season, it seems like every game he has at least one breakaway dunk, at least one three, and one tap-in. And usually the tap-in, it doesn't make any sense how it goes in. But that right there is 7 points, and he's getting to the free throw line a little bit too. So you add all that up together. He's got the potential to be a pretty special player in Ames. I'd like to give a shout-out to Farm Story Meats. Pretty much every year, I like to get my dad some sort of gift certificate or meat box, and I know exactly where I'm going to get it this year. It's at Farm Story Meats. You can head on over to farmstorymeats.com. They've got all their bundles right now. The one that I'm eyeing, hopefully my dad's not listening, is the Classy Christmas bundle. $85, you get a premium item, your choice between a ribeye, New York strip, top sirloin, filet mignon, pork chops, or pasture-raised chicken breasts. And then you throw on a couple pork chops, some center-cut Chester white boneless pork chops, some barbecue pork jerky, sugar maple bacon, ground beef, and that comes out to a lot of meat that you're getting for a really good price, and it's local. It's all local farm-raised. That's just one of the many different meat bundles that they've got on farmstorymeats.com, so please keep them in mind. Please keep this great local business in mind when you're doing some Christmas shopping. We've made it 26 minutes into the program and haven't even mentioned Audi Crooks, who kind of running out of words to describe what she's doing so far, leading America in points per game, in field goal percentage, in win shares. It's not hyperbole to say that she's making a campaign to potentially be in the running for National Player of the Year.
Jake, I saw a certain tweet I think you had that kind of fired up some people around the state about Audi Crooks. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, I was doing what I do and looking up and down at the stats, and I thought it was so bizarre to see a player not only lead the team or lead the country in scoring, but do it in efficiency as well. Because those things don't go together. They're just not supposed to go together. The leading scorer in the country is going to be taking a lot of shots. And when you take a lot of shots, you're going to miss a little more shots. And that has not been the case with Audi. She's shooting 74% from the field. That's not going to stick. It can't.
Yeah.
But she's going to end up in the mid to high 60s most likely. And if she's doing that night in, night out, and averaging 25 plus a game, and if this Iowa State team hits the ceiling that we think they can, I don't think it's crazy at all to say that Audi has a shot to be National Player of the Year the way she's playing, because the season ended today, she'd probably have that award, which is crazy.
You know, you think at least she'd end up being a finalist for sure.
Yes.
You know, then it circles back to team success, and this team is built different. I think we've all seen that. And Audi in particular, I mean, you look, okay, you played the Mercyhursts of the world, you've done this or that. All due respect to Mercyhurst. But 47 on Indiana. I mean, Indiana's a perennial tournament team, sometimes deep into the tournament. I don't know what they've got exactly this year, but they look pretty good. So, I mean, she's proven it in the past. She does it against everybody, right? And she's just such a matchup nightmare. You know, you saw Indiana again try to go we'll let her get hers thing, but everyone else got theirs too, obviously, to get that 11-point win. Just remarkable. I mean, you're right, the percentages are just wild, but she's been, I guess when you shoot a lot of layups, it's going to help, but she's also got a lot of contested layups.
She's not getting lucky.
People strafing at her, and sometimes they bring a couple, they bring the athletic guards to try to come in and undercut and scrape it away or pop it out of there. I mean, really, and I think one of the tweets you had also, Jake, I mean, Addie Brown.
That's where I was just going to go.
Yeah, well, take it away.
Yeah, I think it's so easy for Addie to be overshadowed, and it's not fair to her. I think she's fine with it, though, because just from, I guess, the sense that I get, she's probably the most competitive person on that team from when we've talked to them. And I was glad that she retweeted my tweet about her, so I'm glad she at least feels like she's getting some credit. But Addie has been a top 15 player in America also. The way she's playing, she's 10th in win shares, which every statistic, it can have a bit of a flaw. But she's averaging 12 points a game, 10 rebounds, up to 6 assists. Like, she is not just as important as Audi, but she is one tick below as important to this team as Audi Crooks is. And when you can have a player that's playing also at least an honorable mention All-American caliber to go alongside a first-team All-American player, like Addie has had a really special start to the year. When you also factor in her efficiency, she's pretty dang close to the 50-40-90 club as well, which is as we know, that's the most prestigious club a basketball player can join.
What I think so many people like to point to about why is this Iowa State team, from what we've seen in the first month and a half of the season, doing better than last year's team, you point to a Jada Williams, you point to a healthy Kinsey Hare. And of course, that helps so much. That might elevate the ceiling of this team, but I think Addie Brown and Audi Crooks have gotten better, which it's like, of course, they're going into their junior year. They've worked so much, but I asked Bill Finley at the start of the season, with a player like Crooks, who as a freshman and a sophomore has established such a consistent level of success. I mean, we mentioned her double-digit point streak. She's had that going since her freshman year. How does she even get better? And, Bill Finley says, yeah, it's tough to look a player like that in the eyes and say, hey, here, and here are where you need to improve. But Audi Crooks is a player with the mentality of, she always knows that she has areas to improve. And that's what Bill Finley kind of pointed to. It's tough to even say that with a straight face. But Crooks is a player who's willing to accept that and embrace that. And I think we're seeing it paying off.
And one thing she's mentioned that they've talked about improving is the free throw shooting percentage. And it's up a little bit. And that's hugely important. If she can raise her percentage 3-4 points, that's a win, probably, at least in there. And back to Addie, imagine, I don't know, Cyclone fans don't want to do this, but imagine they don't have Audi Crooks. Addie Brown is fully capable of scoring you 20 points a game, night in, night out. So, that speaks also to her versatility, that she's accepting this role because, to your guys' points about her competitiveness, she wants to win more than anything else. So, 12, 10, whatever assists, let's do it. Because I think she senses what I think Coach Finley senses and what we're sort of seeing, that this team's ceiling is higher. Mentioned Ariana Jackson, too, who's just shooting the heck out of it from three. And being a lot of toughness plays. So a lot to like about what they've done. Again, they haven't played an elite team yet, but it sure looks like this team could also have something special going.
We'll learn a lot in that Cyhawk game next week, a game that has not gone Iowa State's favor a lot in the past decade. So I'd imagine the Cyclones be favored at Hilton Coliseum, but the Hawkeyes are playing at a pretty high level as well, and that's going to be a really fun matchup, and can't wait to talk about that a little bit more next week. We've got some bowl projections. It's hard to know because these bowls are all talking to each other. They're all working together. So we truly have no idea what's going to happen, but it seems that there are 3 potential destinations for the Cyclones, and that's the Rate Bowl in Phoenix on December 26th, the Texas Bowl in Houston on December 27th, or the Liberty Bowl in Memphis, which we all know that's in Memphis. That'd be January 2nd. I guess of those 3 guys, personally and selfishly, professionally, what bowl would you most like to see Iowa State go to?
Can I say something I know is going to be very unpopular?
Yes,
Do it.
please.
You already know what I'm going to say.
Memphis.
I wouldn't mind going to Memphis. I know Cyclone fans, you've been there, you've done that. It's always rainy. You don't want to play the Memphis Tigers in Memphis. I've heard all the horror stories, and that doesn't sound fun, but shoot, I've never been. Looking at the dates, that might be a little bit easier to get out there for that one. Sorry, Cyclone fans, that's kind of what I'm pulling for.
Well,
I'm okay with Memphis, too. Just
I'd be
no
back from
Memphis.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's
Sorry,
right.
Rob.
I'd be back from my Hawaii trip, so I could actually go to the bowl game. I think, obviously, Cyclone fans would prefer, even though it's the day after Christmas, the Rate Bowl. I know it's been a long time. They're slotted in those positions to where, once you get past the very top, the pecking order is they can pick anybody, right? It just feels like they would. I would go because I've been to Memphis multiple times. But I really like Memphis barbecue. Really, really, really like it. It's a cool, big city, small town combo kind of feel that Memphis is. And I love Stax Records. But I would go rate Houston and Memphis. But Memphis does have a lot of character. And by the way, they're due to have decent weather at those games. It was bitterly cold, that one in 2017 against Memphis. And then rain, sleet, freezing rain. Come on. It's usually not like that in Memphis. Usually you could get like at least 50 degrees or something out of it. So we'll see.
I'm not going to spend too much time worrying about what the destination could be until after the Big 12 championship game. I think we're going to learn a lot if BYU beats Texas Tech and gets in versus if BYU loses to Texas Tech and probably gets left out. I think that BYU team would be a desirable team if I had a bowl game, with that fan base, and they've had one of their best seasons in recent memory. So I think that would be a team that would probably get a good bowl to go to. So I'm going to, I think, worry about the bowl destination after that Big 12 championship game.
Yeah, for me, I'm more opponent over destination over date. Just give Iowa State a Power 5
Players,
opponent.
formations, plays.
Yes,
Sorry.
yes.
Yeah.
Just give them a Power 4 opponent. No Memphis, no UNLV. Yes. You don't learn anything from those games. When those teams get an opportunity to play a Power 4 team, it is an extra level of motivation that, frankly, I just don't think most teams have in bowl games anymore. I'd be far more interested to see Iowa State playing Minnesota in the Rate Bowl than playing UNLV in the Rate Bowl. Or I'd be far more interested to see Iowa State playing Missouri in the Liberty Bowl than playing Memphis. I guess that's my number one rule is I'll go to Memphis, and we'll have fun in Memphis. We'll have a lot of fun on Beale Street. We'll get another Cyclone Fanatic Airbnb. But I won't have fun if they're playing the Memphis Tigers. Any other team in America. Any other team in America but the Memphis Tigers in Memphis. And I'd sign up for that. Houston, I just don't know a ton about the Texas Bowl. I've never been to Houston, so that at least would be new. But nothing about it sounds too interesting. 2 days after Christmas doesn't feel much better than 1 day after Christmas, so I'd be lukewarm about all three, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
All right, you guys want to close with some wrestling? Ben, I'm sorry you had to miss it. I hope you had a lot of fun back home with your family in Stillwater. Your brother didn't go home, did he? There's no way, right?
He was on Kiffin watch.
Yeah, he couldn't have gone home during that. So, well, I'm excited to talk to you about that a little more off the record once we're spending 9 hours up in Ames today between signing day and the vaunted Elkhorn State Blazers, Vikings, Braves. You can just throw a dart at the board and see what sticks. But regardless, Iowa State breaks a 21-year drought and beats the Iowa Hawkeyes in wrestling 20-14. Ben, I'm guessing you watched this back home. I'm kind of interested in your thoughts as an outsider, as a total outsider to this rivalry.
I watched the whole thing, guys, on ESPN, and it was must-see TV. And can you believe it all happened because of the Hawkeye fan at Casey's? That's why this 21-year streak got broken, is because a little motivation from a Hawkeye fan. just an incredible thing to watch, man. I mean, it felt like Iowa State had control, maybe just marginally throughout, I think, the entire duel. I haven't delved into wrestling strategy maybe as much as I have, because I was fascinated by the decision of Dresser to start with the heavyweight at the beginning of the duel. From what the broadcasters were saying, the momentum, I could sense a little bit of it on the broadcast. Whoever was there, I'm sure you could sense the momentum kind of change when Iowa State got that first win, even if it didn't come as a major decision as it looked like it might have. So I just think a super well done duel. The challenge brick late, given a little bit more time, even that felt like a well done coaching decision. And man, just a heck of an environment to see from afar. Hats off to the Cyclone fans who showed up through the snow, man. Wrestling fans are already dedicated, and Cyclone wrestling fans, anybody who made it out to Hilton for that definitely got rewarded.
Well, I think most Cyclone fans, if you would have told them before the duel that they would lose at 125 and lose at 149, they're thinking we're in trouble.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, Jacob Frost had beaten Panero Johnson, who's ranked second in the country by Intermat, a two-time Big 12
Not
champion.
anymore.
Yeah, but I mean, it beat him twice in wrestle-offs, but he was under the weather. Coach Dresser said Frost will be going with the team to Vegas for the Cliff Keens. But MJ Gaitan is Ben alluded to, just incredible. And I asked him a question about that story. Is that really what went down? And he told it really well. He didn't say explicitly that you will lose. He just said that he asked, who are you wrestling? And he said, Kennedy. And the guy said, ouch. And he was like, really? What? Gaitan is such a funky, he pumps up the funk all the time. I mean, he rolls around. He gets guys on their back all the time. He did that early with Kennedy. And I think he surprised him a little bit. And I think both guys were gassed. The challenge brick certainly helped. You could see both guys just huffing and puffing. And for him to gut that one out and nearly pin a guy of Kennedy's caliber, that's just an incredible performance and points to what he can be. And he's always been this big potential guy. What can he be? What does he build off of this? And I asked Coach Dresser for some other stuff I was working on. Happened to be at Jacobson yesterday, and he just said for a lot of the guys who got their hands raised, this should be a springboard. And for the guys who didn't, and he says as a competitor, I always felt like I learned the most about myself when I lost. How do you turn it into something that is valuable? How do you turn it into something that you can also use as a springboard of sorts? Just paraphrasing here, but I think he really likes his team, and for good reason. I mean, just so many good performances. Anthony Echemendia almost gets a tech fall. He said he should have gotten a tech fall because he tried these quick intentional releases, and he's just supposed to look over at the ref and make sure that he acknowledged the release, and then he gets another takedown and all that. So up and down the lineup, Evan Frost, really big win over Drake Ayala. I mean, just again, 20-year match streak ended, and it didn't look like it was going to happen, man. The last couple being so close, and felt like it had almost become a curse. The California Love guy, MJ Gaitan, kicked that curse to the curb.
How about Rocky Elam at the end, guys?
Oh, yeah.
We got
That's why you bring him in.
That's why you bring him in. You're spot on, man. That's why you bring in the 4-time All-American, to see it come into fruition. That's the moment. That's exactly the moment. And Kevin Dresser gave a little bit of the behind the scenes. Kevin Dresser, I could listen to that guy for days. I love listening to him. He said at Thanksgiving they were sitting there watching football, eating food, and Rocky says, hey, coach, I want to be the guy. I want to be the guy at the end. I want to be the guy to finish it. And sure enough, he gets that opportunity. What a moment for the Missouri transfer to hear his name getting chanted. There's not a more fun and cool name to chant than Rocky at a wrestling duel. So good. That was an incredible moment too.
Yeah. And ironically enough, he said he wished they were chanting Iowa State instead of Rocky, but he was more demonstrative than he usually is. He mentioned how he felt like it was a selfless win. It was for the fans. I mean, he's just such we talk about perfect fits, but for this program, guys never finish outside the top 6 at NCAAs. I mean, what he gives them as a competitor and as a podium dweller is one thing, but as a teammate, seems like that's off the charts as well.
Yeah, it's certainly a day I'll never forget, being Matt's side, able to cover that, and it's a day that a lot of Iowa State fans who watched that and were in the building will never forget either. History at Hilton Coliseum on Sunday, and it's a bit of a month off for wrestling. I know they've got the tournament out there in Vegas, but things really will pick up again back in January, and can't wait to talk about it right here on this program all winter long here on the Beat Reporters. We'll be back next week, and we'll have some Cyhawk preview, some Purdue reaction. It's going to be a big week here on the Beat Reporters in the Northwest Bank Studios. We appreciate you for tuning in. Be sure to check out the Cyclone Fanatics shop for all of your Christmas needs.